the Wits General Assembly has been called off. There's a media briefing. Let's go there live.
Students and staff wanted to return to the academic program of 2016. And the management has been spending hours and days to try and get the academic program on track. It is our singular focus to get the academic program on track. And the reason is that we believe that while the struggle for free education is a noble struggle, it does not require the sacrifice of the 2016 academic program. And so we spent effectively the last couple of days to try and see if we could find a solution to this. Last weekend, we decided to open in a phased opening on Monday and Tuesday. On Saturday, we released a statement to every member of the university community that said we are committed to free education for the poor and the missing middle, that we were committed to a General Assembly, that we were committed to working with the students, but that we wanted the resumption of the academic program. We agreed to a phased opening on Monday with simply staff returning, on Tuesday with lectures returning. On Tuesday we couldn't guarantee. On Monday what had happened when we kept the police at the periphery, staff and other students were harassed and intimidated, and therefore on Tuesday we brought in police on site. And then you saw in the course of the day, while things succeeded in the morning between 8 and 10 o'clock, after 10 it became a very, very difficult situation, and you saw this live, the tear gas, the stun grenades, and the demonstrations that took place, and the fact that we lost the program. In the course of that day, the mediators came to us and suggested they think they have a solution. If we suspend the academic program for the following week, if we declare support for the idea of a General Assembly, that we would be able to resume on Monday, the 10th of October. And effectively that was the plan. And even though it was very difficult and we were going to lose another 3 days, we decided to effectively make one last push, because we felt that opening under a negotiated outcome, without police, without all of the overt security, would be in the best interest of this institution, of all of its students, of all of its staff, and it would be in the best interest of the country as a whole in the higher education system. So we gave it one more try. And over the last couple of days, we've been party to a series of negotiations facilitated by the mediators themselves. Those negotiations went on, and the mediators left home at 3:30 this morning. After 3:30, or at 3 o'clock this morning, we have had a series of engagements, telephone calls, etc., and then a meeting that resolved how we go forward. And do we have the General Assembly, do we have the march, and will we open on Monday? And effectively, that meeting decided on the following statement, which went out, as I said, 45 minutes ago to the university community and has gone out to you as the press itself. So I'm going to read that statement. I also am going to follow up to read the pledge that we were willing to commit to, so you understand how far the university community went to try and find a solution to this challenge. That pledge was broadly supported by our council, and it was supported effectively by our Senate. And that's a significant statement. When a university Senate and its council puts its entire energy behind a statement as significant as this, it is a dramatic statement to make. We had also committed to having a General Assembly, and we had committed to doing a march to the Constitutional Court that would affirm to the world what Wits as a community was prepared to put forward. But despite all of those massive concessions, we still did not get enough from the protesters themselves. And so here's, I will read it first, as I said, the decision we made about an hour ago, and then I will read the university pledge so you understand how far the university community was prepared to go in this regard. So here's the decision we made and the message we sent to everybody else. Dear colleagues, it is with deep regret that we announce the postponement of the General Assembly that was to be held today. This week, we suspended the academic program and dedicated all our resources towards building a consensus within the university community in order to be able to resume the academic program on Monday. We had reached consensus with all university constituencies, including the Council, the Senate, the Congregation, Labour and staff, but not with the protesting students. Despite all our attempts and the energetic engagement of former Black Student Society and SRC leaders, the mediation process with the protesting students was unsuccessful. A congregation of the General Assembly is only called when the university community has reached consensus on a particular issue. In this case, there has been no consensus. There has been no consensus from all constituencies, and particularly no agreement from the protesting students that the academic program will continue on Monday. To note again, we had agreed with everybody else that we'd go through the General Assembly, we'd march, we'd declare support, and I'll read that out in a minute, but that we would open on Monday, begin the resumption of the academic program. All constituencies agreed to that, except the protesting students. The vast majority of staff and the vast majority of students also wanted that. The protesting students effectively wanted the General Assembly, and they wanted the march to the Constitutional Court to continue. But they refused to commit that the academic program will commence on Monday, as previously we had discussed. One of the latest demands of the protesting students is that Wits and all other universities should be shut down until government agrees to free education. Effectively, they were prepared to sacrifice the 2016 academic program. In addition, there has been no agreement from the protesting students on the format of the General Assembly. Effectively, a General Assembly, as we've enunciated before, is chaired by our Chancellor. We read a pledge. All of the constituencies declare support of the pledge on whatever the major issue is. In this case, they didn't agree to that format and wanted direct engagement from the floor. Our concern in this regard is that it may create unnecessary tension between students themselves and between some students and other stakeholders, raising important security risks and serving as a symbol for disunity for the university. General Assembly is meant to be a symbolic reflection of unity, and in this case, if they were not prepared to do so, it would serve as a symbol of disunity. There was also the risk that the safety and security of those attending the General Assembly today cannot be guaranteed. Effectively, if somebody stood up and said, I refuse to go back, there would be others that would contest it, and we would not be able to guarantee safety in the tensions that would emerge after that. Therefore, we will postpone the General Assembly until consensus is reached and the conditions for such an assembly are met. We remain committed to the pledge and the march, and should conditions enable this, we would be happy to proceed. Again, I want to read that. We will postpone the General Assembly until consensus is reached and the conditions for such an assembly are met. We remain committed to the pledge and the march, and should conditions enable this, we would be happy to proceed. The university has dedicated many resources in preparation for this major event, including negotiating the pledge that was to be read out today, ensuring the availability of important and key role players, and even sacrificing another week of lectures. We thank the mediators for their time, their patience, and their insight in attempts to reach consensus on a matter of national importance. They spent countless hours trying to obtain consensus from all constituencies this week. A council meeting will be called this weekend, after which a way forward for the university will be determined. We regret any inconvenience caused to any individual as a result of this decision. This is a decision of the senior executive team as of this morning at 8:30. Perhaps, Tawana, I should read the pledge so that colleagues have an idea what the pledge we were prepared to make a commitment on, and then we should open up. Is that okay? So the pledge that we were prepared to come to terms with, and this had been the focus of the negotiations. The university, and this would have been read at the General Assembly, the University of the Witwatersrand holds the General Assemblies at crucial times in South Africa's history. We are gathered here today in order to present a united university position with the aim of contributing to resolving South Africa's ongoing higher education crisis. The Wits community agrees that free, fully funded, quality, decolonized higher education is possible. We are committed to finding effective measures to achieve this goal. Read it again. This is what the university community was going to read. The Wits community agrees that free, fully funded, quality decolonized higher education is possible. We are committed to finding effective measures to achieve this goal. South African education, including higher education, is in a systemic crisis. It is a crisis that is born of our colonial and apartheid history, but has been exacerbated by poor policy choices in the post-apartheid era. Since 1994, South Africa has been growing its higher education system, expanding the student base from 420,000 to just over 1 million. Yet the per capita subsidy for higher education has declined in real terms. This has forced universities to increase fees in an effort to maintain quality. The net effect has been to price higher education outside the hands of ordinary South Africans. This is a systemic challenge that has to be addressed, in part because it will enable us to heal our fundamental divides, including the poverty and inequality of our society. Education and higher education are mechanisms through which to draw individuals, families, and communities out of the poverty trap, and to provide people with opportunities to fully participate in society and the economy. It is a basis on which to heal and create an inclusive society. The quest to enable access to universities for all of our students is a noble cause. The University of the Witwatersrand therefore pledges our support for the goal of free, fully funded, quality, decolonized higher education. We pledge to approach government with a united voice for the realization of this goal. We pledge to deploy our intellectual resources towards finding the best solutions towards this goal. We are also prepared to support peaceful advocacy activities in this regard. Ultimately, our efforts will be part of creating a new educational pact for South Africa that will be based on a single principle. No student should be prevented from continuing and completing their studies because of a lack of finance. That was the pledge that this entire university community was prepared to make at this university assembly. Our simple request was the resumption of the academic program for 2016. I assert again, the struggle for free education is a noble cause, but it is not a cause that requires the sacrifice of the 2016 academic year. Too many students, in Wits' case 37,000 students, would not proceed, and that would be a tragedy of enormous proportions. And that's the decision that effectively we made. So I'll stop there and hand over back to Tawana. Thank you very, very much.